So this will be a quick demonstration of the trackable diet. This is a small interface that we've created that interfaces with a completely API-driven generative interface for logging meals. And so everything that you see here in the UI and much more can be accomplished because what this application is fundamentally doing is calling a bunch of API RESTful services that interact with images and conversational text in which to log meals. So they're sitting here in the interface on the text logger, and it allows us to log a meal via text. So I could say something like, I had the equivalent of 2 eggs, but they were egg whites, and one whole egg, about an ounce and a half of Mexican blend cheese, and some medium salsa on the top of that, and a black coffee. When we submit that, it goes to the back end and breaks down the meal. It says, let's break down your meal for better estimates. Egg whites, you had the equivalent of 2 egg whites, whole eggs, one whole egg, Mexican cheese blend, medium salsa, and black coffee. Could you let me know how much salsa you used? I'll say about 2 tablespoons. How inquisitive the language model is here can be tuned. I have it tuned to be extremely inquisitive, which is why it really went after just how much salsa I used. And so what it's able to do is be somewhat tailored to individual use cases where you can say, well, you had toast. Did you have butter on the toast? Was it white or wheat? Or you can have the system just make some best guesses as to what was likely the case, and that's completely tunable. The last thing it's asking me for is this meal for breakfast, lunch, or dinner. Now, this time I'll type it in instead of speaking it in. I'll say breakfast. Go ahead and do this. And then once I do that, it basically summarizes all of the calories and so forth, and then gives us my total for breakfast, which was not a whole lot of calories. It says, I will now log the meal for you. Your breakfast has been logged with the following nutritional information: calories 266, calories from fat 156, and so forth.
Now, a couple of things that are important to note about this functionality will be changed so that this information is not presented to participants. This will just be logged in the back end so that clinical trials participants aren't influenced by this information.
Back-end information can be viewed. In fact, in this small interface, if I click on meals, you can see that currently the meal is logged here, and it has just the basic breakfast breakout, what you ate, calories, carbs, and sugars and fats. Then there's also the image way of managing something of this nature. And so if we go to the camera widget, and I'm going to bring up in the background here, I'm going to bring up just a meal that I grabbed from the internet, but this could be anything. And I'll bring my mobile back up. I want to go ahead, choose that I want to log, let's say, a dinner. And then I'll click on the camera widget. Say I can, you notice I could take a picture with my camera, or it also said from photo rolls. And now I'll just go ahead and snap a picture of it. I'll use the photo. Now it goes through the process of uploading the photo gets uploaded, and then down below, it's logging the nutritional information. So you can see it now here says here, plate with roasted chicken thighs, peas, carrots, and potatoes. It's done, again, a basic breakdown of what that meal was, and that meal has been logged on the back end.
Can also remove extraneous imagery. I know there was a sensitivity about seeing more than we should be seeing, so we could refine that as data is gathered.
So a couple things that would make sense, for example, on this image logging page would be to add a generative text interface onto this that would allow you to say things like, and the back end is already there to do it. It's already possible. It's just not in this particular implementation of the front end. But I could say, I'd like you to refine this meal and and say that I only had half of it, or I didn't have, the potatoes and so forth. In fact, you might still be able to do it in its current implementation. Let's try it real quickly. I'll say something like, do you know what I had for dinner? So there it is. It knows what I had for dinner. And I'm going to say, as it turns out, I only ate half of that meal. Can you cut the calories and everything you know about that meal in half? Would you like me to update this meal for you? Yes. And so technically we can combine the generative interface. You can see it says the updated meal has been successfully logged if you need any more assistance. And if I come back to the meal page here, you can now see all the calories and everything have been cut in half.
And
So
how
yeah.
does the USDA play into this?
So by combining currently right now we're using the language model's internal understanding of calories. But what we could also do is we can add an additional check and for those things call the USD API on actual, calories and metrics.
Specific data. Yeah.
We still have to make an estimate on, how much of a thing we think it is, given the picture, is it 3 ounces of chicken, is it 6 ounces of chicken, and so forth. But we'll then pull that from the calorie API.
There's another opportunity to be able to scan a label or even a barcode, and that will pull through the exact information, correct? Yeah.
Let's go ahead and try this one, see if it can pick up that this is a 0 calorie can of seltzer.
Yeah, look at that.
Yeah, there it is. A can of premium Polish seltzer with lime flavor held in front of a laptop. It always pulls out the meal information. And we could do some barcode lookups as well. And those are all things that can be added to the system.